Ladies and gentlemen, moms and dads, boys and girls, welcome to the stage with a thunderous round of applause, Richard Nongard. Thank you. It's very good to be here today. For those who I have not met before, I'm Richard Nongard. For those who I have met before, hi, I'm still Richard Nongard. And this is, of all the topics I could talk about, my favorite topic to speak on, the evidence for hypnosis. And the reason why it's my favorite topic is I hear at conventions like this all the time, I am a hypnotist. I am a complementary and alternative therapist. I see people on their business cards write that all the time. Complementary therapy, alternative therapy. The reality is that the evidence shows that hypnosis is not a complementary and alternative therapy. Please stop saying that. The evidence is overwhelming that hypnosis is a first-line intervention. It is the intervention of choice with many clients. In fact, for many conditions that clients might experience and present with, all of the other approaches are actually complementary. Because there's an overwhelming body of evidence, not because our clients report that their life has been changed because of hypnosis, but in the peer-reviewed literature. Catch this. There are over 12,000 peer-reviewed journals, academic publications, scholar.google.com. I don't have any notes for you today, so write that on the palm of your hand so you don't forget it, scholar.google.com. And the great thing about scholar.google.com is that unlike regular Google, where if you type in hypnosis cancer, hypnosis burn treatment, hypnosis yawning disorder, hypnosis anxiety, if you go to regular Google, what you'll get is whoever is really good at SEO. You'll probably get William Mitchell, right? You'll probably get me. You'll probably get some other people who are offering services in those areas. Type in hypnosis, irritable bowel syndrome. It'll probably be Melissa Ross' webpage offering training or specific services. But if you go to scholar.google.com, you won't find my website. You won't find William's website. You won't find Melissa's website. You won't find your website. What you'll find are peer-reviewed journals from the world of academia. And there are over 12,000, that was 12,000 peer-reviewed journal articles that show the efficacy of hypnosis, that hypnosis actually works to help people change their lives. Now here's the interesting thing. There are 12,000 peer-reviewed journal articles showing the efficacy of clinical hypnosis if we focus on the word hypnosis. But if we look for journal articles that talk about therapeutic and progressive relaxation, or autogenic training, or mindfulness, or meditation, or creative visualization, or any of the other words that don't use the hypnosis word, but we all recognize our hypnotic techniques, we have over 100,000 plus journal articles showing that the techniques that we use on a daily basis are actually the techniques that change lives, that help people to feel better faster. Now, I have a resource on my website, so subliminalscience.com is my website. And if you just go to subliminalscience.com, right there on the front page, it'll say, hey, do you want the research? So I'm going to share some of the research with you, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I'd like to have a copy of that. And you can, right there at subliminalscience.com on the homepage, it's going to ask you this question. Do you want to see the research? I will send you a PDF with all of this research. So that's something you can all access after today is over. But the journals are amazing. They show that hypnosis is transformative and life-changing. Let me ask you here in this room, have you experienced a significant change in your life as a result of learning and using hypnosis to solve your own problems? How many of you have resolved some type of a medical complication, maybe a chronic condition or even an episodic condition as a result of being a master of hypnosis? How many of you feel better because you've applied self-hypnosis or even sought out a hypnotist? How many of you have made a significant life change? Anyone in here quit smoking because of hypnosis? At least one, probably a few other people who don't want to admit it. Anyone here overcome a fear of flying as a result of hypnosis? Anyone manage irritable bowel syndrome, other gastrointestinal difficulties? Anyone here deal with chronic pain? and find that when you apply the principles that you share with your clients, your life is exponentially better. Hypnosis works, and we know it from firsthand experience in our own lives. How many of you have seen clients make remarkable discoveries and incredible changes as a result of the work that you do? Has anyone had a client who's made incredible life changes as a result of coming to see you for hypnosis? This is the one thing I love about doing clinical hypnosis. It changes lives. A lady came to my office a few weeks ago. I see clients. You can actually make an appointment with me, hypnosisnevada.com. By the way, I think that when you're choosing who you should learn hypnosis from, it's always great to learn hypnosis from people who are actually seeing clients. I think that's real helpful. So hypnosisnevada.com, you can come to my office at 6787 West Tropicana. I'll be more than happy to see you. 2 clients I had last week just sort of stuck in my mind. What I did with them helped them to change their entire life. One was a guy who came to see me because he hasn't been on an airplane in 7 years. He was afraid to fly. And that worked for him as long as he didn't have a job that required that he fly. But he had a new job offer. It was a job he really, really wanted. It doubled his current salary, but it required frequent travel. He was going to turn the job down because he didn't think he could do it, but he decided to give hypnosis a try. Guess what he did? He accepted the job. He doubled his income. He met the needs of his family. That's pretty cool. Another lady I saw just a week or 2 ago, she came in, 73 years of age, and she was a person who had practiced meditation many years ago. And so she understood how meditation could help her, but she had been seeing under physician's care, high blood pressure, and was at risk for certain conditions related to hypertension. And the medication that she had been on seemed to be plateauing, not achieving the results she wanted, and were also coming with side effects. And so she had her physician's permission to see me. And I love working with people in hypnosis for hypertension because the literature actually shows that people who learn the physical methods of therapeutic relaxation and autogenic training, creating from within themselves, can have incredible results. Now, not only was she able to find an immediate benefit and in the office decrease her blood pressure, but through the practice assignments that I had given her over the week, she charted her progress and began to feel a sense of hope. And the reason she felt a sense of hope is that she wasn't really trying to get to a specific number. What she's trying to do is preserve her life so that she can have a relationship with her grandchildren. Now, she was, I think, 72, 73, maybe 74 years of age. My grandmother lived to be 94 years of age. So I grew up right here in Northbrook, actually in Lincolnshire, but right here. My senior prom dinner was at Algowers across the street. My mom and my stepfather, when they got married, their wedding anniversary, their wedding dinner, whatever it is that people have. I was a little kid, so I don't know the proper title for it. I've been married enough, you'd think I'd know what it's called, but but it was right there at Algowers also. So I grew up here. So yesterday I was really excited because I got a chance to drive over to my grandmother's house. My grandmother's house was such an incredible place. It was this great house, 32 Coldstream. It's actually for sale right now. Apparently nobody lives in it. So I was actually able to go up and peer through the windows. It was pretty cool. And I could see the great room with the fireplace where we had our Christmas dinners. And I was able to see the piano room where my grandmother would play the piano, and I would just lay on the floor and listen to her play the piano. And I was really lucky. I was in my early to mid 40s before my grandmother died. She lived to be 94. And I feel really blessed because I had a relationship with my grandmother who was the coolest lady on the planet Earth through most of my adult life. And when I helped that lady to achieve her health goals in my office last week, what I was really doing was helping her grandson have the same opportunity that I have. That's some really powerful work. So it's been our experience that hypnosis has helped us personally. And it's been our experience that in our office, clients have had significant changes in life. We know that hypnosis works, anecdotally, but I meet hypnotists who actually don't know that the research says hypnosis is not a complementary and alternative therapy. It's a first-line intervention. And so, before the lunch hour, I wrote down a couple of things. Listen to this. This is pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. Hypnosis is 3 times more successful at long-term success for smoking cessation than nicotine replacement therapy. So when people say, does it really work to be hypnotized to quit smoking? It's 3 times more successful than nicotine replacement therapy, which we know is more successful than no approach. Now, again, studies look at certain things. In this study, we looked at the relationship between hypnosis as a way to help people versus another method, nicotine replacement therapy. Now, I have no problem with whatever method a person chooses to quit smoking, but I want to choose the method that is really most effective. It's hypnosis. So what about long-term studies? Well, on my little list here, which by the way is on my website, 81% of people in a group hypnosis session quit smoking and remained smoke-free 1 year later. 81%. That's pretty amazing. That was a group smoking cessation session. The person facilitating that group obviously was skilled and talented and knew exactly what to do. I have no doubt that some people can't achieve that high of a number because they don't have a grasp of the methods that are most effective. But with the clients who I work with, I see results that are 80 to 90% consistently in my office. I helped William build his website for the clinic in Springfield. I have no doubt that you have a success rate that's probably the same 1 year later. And the testimonials he has to demonstrate that the techniques that he uses are highly effective techniques are great anecdotal stories, but the research backs it too in peer-reviewed journals. Anyone here ever have a migraine? Anyone here ever have a migraine? In the past, yeah, not right now. Okay. Right. If you do right now, see me after the show is over. But a migraine, boy, that's tough, isn't it? You feel like you're absolutely dying. Anyone here have asthma or a history of asthma? The lady in the mask says yes. Good, good, good. Anyone here ever have any gastrointestinal difficulties? What's the research show? The research shows that we decrease pain related to respiratory distress and illness, related to gastrointestinal difficulties, related to migraines with hypnosis. It's a true pain control technique. Some of you are familiar with the use of hypnosis in irritable bowel syndrome, specifically gut-directed hypnotherapy, sometimes referred to as the Manchester protocol. And what it has shown is that clients who go through an 8-session protocol have a dramatically and exponentially improved quality of life. By the way, that's one of the things that we're looking for in hypnosis. We're not looking for black and white outcomes. The person had this and now they don't. Okay, we want that with our smokers. You know, well, I cut down from 3 packs to only 1 pack a day. I'm not going to really consider that very successful because we're still smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, and that's still pretty bad for you. But let's talk about hypnotic pain control. I've been using hypnosis as a pain control technique most of my adult life. I've probably shared the story with some of you, but the feet that I'm walking on right now aren't particularly the greatest feet on the planet Earth. I'm wearing some brand new fancy shoes. There's some new orthopedic shoes. And I've had a fusion over here in this foot, which, by the way, just makes you have a duck foot. It doesn't bend. And over here, I've had a joint replacement because they told me it was better. And I discovered after the surgery, it's not. And so I've dealt with chronic pain really most of my adult life as well. And every now and then some people say, Richard, if you're such a great hypnotist, how come you have pain? Let me tell you, if I wasn't a great hypnotist, I'd be rolling around in a wheelchair right now. So sometimes the results that we're looking for are not all or nothing. He does or doesn't have pain, but the ability to live life with a quality of life, as I do each and every day, despite an ongoing battle with certain joint difficulties that I've had really throughout most of my life. So I know from my own experience that hypnosis is a tool for pain control. But what does the research show? The research shows that for those with orthopedic injury or illnesses, hypnosis is a first-line intervention for being able to seize control of the day and begin to live life with either a reduced or even an eliminated pain level. That's some pretty cool research. Anyone here have surgery at all in the last couple of years? Who's had surgery in the last couple of years? Right, this is a room that's over 25, so probably half the room. And I don't know about you, but every time I have surgery, I'm a little anxious. I've had surgery probably 5 times in the last 5 years. I've had 3 throat surgeries. I've had 2 feet surgeries, and probably another 1 or 2 that I'm forgetting about. And every time I go have surgery, I tend to be pretty anxious. Because, of course, we've all heard that sometimes you'll operate on the wrong leg or the wrong heart, right? You're supposed to go in for heart surgery, but they did a splenectomy instead. And we hear these stories all the time. And I know a lot of people have a fear of flying because they have a sense of no control, right? They shut the door, the pilot shuts his door, and you're putting your life really in the hands of somebody as young as your children. So when I flew here yesterday, I always check out the pilots, right? Make sure they're sober. I was like, he looks sober, but he doesn't look a day older than my youngest son. It always makes me a little bit nervous. So there's that sense of a loss of control. I'm not sure I'd let my son drive my car, much less fly my airplane, but nothing I can do about that, right? I'm at the mercy of his training and his expertise, and at the weather end of this magnificent machine that hurls through space at 600 miles an hour, painted in the colors of Shamu. But I made it here just fine. By the way, there was a time in my life when I wouldn't have done that. Back when I first started doing training in the mid-90s, I was on an it was more severe than an emergency landing and less severe than an accident. So I call it a flop. It was definitely an FAA incident. And I said, well, that's it. I am not getting on a plane again. It took me about 11 years to get on a plane again. So I used to be afraid to fly. For a number of years, I was not going to get on a plane. I limited a lot of my opportunity. People say, well, we'd like to come to Pennsylvania to speak. And I was living in Texas at the time. Of course, I wouldn't like to go to Pennsylvania to speak, but you can come on down here to Texas and I'll be happy to speak to you. So I found it really limiting my world and recognized that I needed to do what I asked my clients to do in order to take control of my own life. Now one of my proudest possessions is my American Airlines Executive Platinum card. It really is a diploma from Fear of Flying School using the strategies of hypnosis. Not only to take control of the moment, but I actually love to fly. Some of you are my Facebook friends. You've probably seen me posting selfies and pictures of me flying to China, flying to Europe, flying everywhere else. Because Milton Erickson's techniques on time distortion and hypnosis make flying absolutely fun. It's great to see if I can speed up that 13-hour flight to Beijing and turn it into a 13-minute flight using the hypnotic techniques of time distortion and hypnosis, or to take a 36-minute flight from Tulsa to Dallas and turn it into a 3-hour flight where I can get productivity accomplished in a short flight and actually plan out my next book or my next set of articles or my next personal goals in life. And again, we've seen in our own lives that hypnosis is life-changing, but the reality is the journals show these things are life-changing as well. Tinnitus. Anyone here ever suffer from tinnitus? Usually there's a person or two. The ringing in the ear, or it's not just ringing in the ear. It can be any sort of ambient sounds and noises that never cease. I've never experienced tinnitus myself, other than for a short period of time. 4th of July, somebody blows a firecracker off near your ear, and for the next 4 hours you can still hear that firecracker. That's a temporary condition. I can only imagine what it would be like to go to bed every night, waking up hoping the sound was gone, but waking up to hear it one more time. Just the other night, I mistook 2018 for 1997. I had watched a DVD, and so I left the DVD running on top of the you know, the dresser in the bedroom, and the DVD was continuing to go around and around and around. And in the middle of the night, I had to get up to turn off the DVD that was just spinning in the thing because I couldn't get to sleep. I had the ability to turn off the power, but imagine having tinnitus and it wasn't hooked up to anything electrical, and you didn't have the ability to turn it off with the push of a button. Hypnosis gives people the push of a button, and the statistic is 73% of the people who used hypnosis to stop the awareness and sensation of tinnitus were able to find lasting relief. That's amazing, because these folks, trust me, have tried just about everything. That's the amazing thing about a hypnotist. We're usually the last person that people come to see. I wish we were the first, but the people who call me who want to quit smoking aren't 23, they're not 24, they're not 33, they're 56 and 66 and 76. They've tried everything else and now they come to our office. Weight loss hypnosis. They've tried everything. My typical client is, for the weight loss work that I do, is 425 pounds. They're a 42 or 44 or 48-year-old, attorney. And they've been ruled out for whatever reason as a candidate for bariatric surgery. And they've tried every diet on the book, but now they're old enough and they're desperate enough that they call a hypnotist. And they sometimes show up in my office and they say, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I have no options left. I've already tried everything else. I wish that I was the first person they came to see. I'm often the last person that they've come to see. But the good news is, when they finally do show up, it's not just my stories. It's the research that shows hypnosis is effective. Fatigue in breast cancer patients. I think most cancer patients have high levels of fatigue, relating from simply the emotional stress of the big C word to, of course, complications from limited mobility, from surgical procedures, from medications they may be taking, from the emotional toll of having to deal with the C word. But the reality is, cancer patients, breast cancer patients in particular, have been studied. And hypnosis reduces fatigue in cancer patients. And we know something. We know that when people feel rested, the immune system is strengthened. And when the immune system is strengthened, people heal better. They heal faster, and they heal more wholly. One of my favorite research articles is titled, Reducing Anticipatory Nausea and Vomiting in Cancer Patients. Chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. The biggest fear of any cancer patient is, of course, am I going to have chemo and am I going to spend the next 16 weeks throwing up into a bucket? By the way, if you believe you're going to spend the next 16 weeks throwing up into a bucket, what will you do? You'll throw up into a bucket for the next 16 weeks. But hypnosis gives a person a way to take physical control over their experiences. Just like we can help a smoker overcome the physical effects of withdrawal, we can help a person who's under cancer treatment to control the physical aspects of their own wellness. There's an article in that summary that's on my website that I just love. It's from a dermatology journal. Anyone here ever have any dermatology problems? Right? Ranging from everything, ranging from poison ivy to eczema to shingles to whatever else that people have in life. Sometimes dermatology problems aren't even really understood well by the dermatologist. I went to the dermatologist not too long ago. I have that Scandinavian skin, and when you get older with the Scandinavian skin, you start to have some weird dermatology things going on. So I went to see the dermatologist a few months back, and he said, well, I don't really know what it is, but here's some cream. It's like what the dermatologist does. The cream didn't really do anything. I put the cream on 3-4 days. It just made me slimy. I don't like going to bed slimy. It's just weird. So I thought to myself, oh, I'm a hypnotist. I could practice what I would have my clients to do. And guess what I discovered? I discovered in my own life that the problems I had sought out the dermatologist for became less and less chronic, less and less severe, less and less important. And really until today, I hadn't even thought about my dermatology problems in the last probably 6 or 7 months since I went to the dermatologist. The dermatology journal uses a word that we are often reluctant to use in our field. The dermatology journal of dermatology, talking about hypnosis, said this one, cured. Hypnosis cured a huge list of conditions. That's physician peer-reviewed journal using the word cured. Hypnosis didn't just help, didn't just alleviate. Hypnosis cured. It reversed certain dermatological disturbances and difficulties that people experienced. So my message to you is real simple. There's a lot of research out there, and it's freely available. Scholar.google.com is my favorite webpage. That resource that's at Subliminal Science is truly pretty helpful. And it's great to know that hypnosis is not just an approach that is an option for clients, but actually a first-line intervention. So here's the question. We know that the research is out there. We know that hypnosis actually works. So what are some of the reasons that we would study the literature? Why would we actually invest time to comb through scholar.google.com, to actually read the abstracts, to actually see what's there? And this is pretty cool. You go to scholar.google.com, whatever you're interested in, type in stop smoking hypnosis, type in arthritis hypnosis, type in irritable bowel syndrome hypnosis, type in fatigue hypnosis, type in burn treatment hypnosis, anything you can possibly think of, anxiety hypnosis, sports performance hypnosis, leadership and management hypnosis. I mean, they've studied just about everything from behavioral to medical to emotional disturbances and difficulties that people have. And when we look at the research, though, it helps us to do a couple of things. Number one, it helps us as professionals to develop our confidence. This is really important. It's really important for us to be confident. Confidence is what makes us an excellent hypnotist. It's actually not technique. I mean, the techniques are important, but confidence is infectious. And your clients will pick up on a lack of confidence that you have. And if you go into a session knowing that the methods of hypnosis you use change lives, not just because you've seen it in your own life or among the clients who you've worked with before that person, but because the research actually shows that hypnosis works, your confidence will climb through the roof. About 8 or 9 years ago, I posted a video on YouTube titled, Hypnosis Session to Hypnotize Hypnotists to Have Confidence to Hypnotize, right? And the reason I posted that video and made a self-hypnosis session for hypnotists to have the confidence to hypnotize is because I recognize that's the number one thing holding people back. I meet people all the time who, although they do professional hypnosis, they won't do smoking cessation. And the reason why they won't do smoking cessation is they don't have the confidence. Often this comes because they themselves didn't quit smoking by using hypnosis, or they were never a smoker in the first place, and they bought into a lie, and that lie is, I have to have had whatever my client had before I can help them experience wellness. I hope that my brain surgeon doctor doesn't have a brain tumor before he does my brain surgery. The reality is we don't need to overcome the same issues our clients do. If you've never smoked a cigarette in your entire life, you can be an excellent smoking cessation hypnotist. In fact, having overcome that issue yourself actually can be a hindrance to your success because you begin to believe that everybody will quit or experience the same way you did. And it can actually limit your viewpoint. So by understanding the research, I increase exponentially my confidence level. When clients call me on the phone and say, yeah, but does this really work? Will I really lose weight? Will I really quit smoking? Will I really overcome my fear of flying? Will I really start to find lost objects? Will I really stop chasing cars? The answer to that is yes, because the research shows it, and I can point my clients to the research. Number 2 reason why we should study the research. We can communicate to those clients. We can communicate clearly how hypnosis can help. Does hypnosis cure cancer? There's no research to show hypnosis cures cancer. But there's lots of research to show that hypnosis helps people with cancer strengthen their immune system, get better faster, recover from surgery with greater levels of strength, and with hope and optimism. And any physician, any oncologist will tell you that patient attitude is probably the #1 variable in recovery or not. Something that we all know hypnosis is a particularly useful tool. So hypnosis is or understanding the research is a way of communicating powerfully to various clients. Understanding the research also gives us the ability to communicate powerfully to referral resources. How many of you have ever asked a physician for a referral? Maybe you've been cold calling, trying to build your business, letting physicians know what you do. And they say, oh, does this stuff really work? If you don't know what the research says, you don't know the answer to that question. And if you tell the physician who you're asking for referrals that your other clients got better, they've had enough science training to know that that's a non-answer. But if you can point to the peer-reviewed literature and the journals that they're subscribing to, the professional associations or organizations that they're members of, the reality is we can get more referrals. I created a corporate smoking cessation brochure a few years ago. By the way, if you wish you had it, you can have it. In my Facebook group, icbchgroup.com. So if you go to icbchgroup.com, it'll just redirect you to the ICBCH Facebook group. There's a files section. And I actually posted the template for my brochures in that file section. So you can actually take my brochure, you can take my picture off, you can take my name and address off, you can take my phone number off, you can put your picture and your name and address and all that. And I included some of the statistics up in the top left corner. Said 81% of people in a group smoking cessation were smoke-free a year later, cited the source, which I think was Texas A&M University. The next quote on there was that smokers who used hypnosis were 3 times more successful as nicotine replacement therapy. Wow, so I had 2 or 3 statistics like that in the top left. I had a headline that said, corporate smoking cessation, help your entire staff go smoke-free, a description of the services that I provide and a way to contact me. When I created that brochure, probably going on about 10 years now, and began to send that to different personnel departments and human resources and other people, I built a thriving business helping companies who had created a smoking cessation policy implement the policy by giving the support that truly helped those employees. By the way, when I do corporate stop smoking, it's a minimum of $3,000, which is a pretty nice payday. By the way, I do the same thing with individuals in my office as I do with groups. It doesn't really take a whole new protocol. I changed it up a little bit because when clients come to see me in my office, they leave the first session a non-smoker. And I schedule the next session 2 or 3 days later. So that's when people tend to have the most difficulty if they're going to have difficulty, although most of my clients don't have difficulty. But that second session I schedule at that time that people often do have difficulty if they're going to have it, and it's a great way of increasing the success rate. The third session, I let them actually schedule it for any reason, anytime they want to in the next 90 days. By the way, most of them don't come back for that third session. Is it because they started smoking again? No. They don't come back to that third session for the exact same reason you didn't take antibiotics for 10 days. You felt fantastic. How many of you have half a bottle of antibiotics somewhere in your house, right? There's not only 2 of us. The rest of this audience is asleep because almost everyone here has 3/4 of a bottle of antibiotics somewhere in the house because you quit taking it because you felt great and you just forgot it wasn't important any longer. With my corporate smoking, I do something a little bit different. I use basically the same protocols, but the first session is a giant pre-talk where I hypnotize them to my suggestion is to have the desire to stop smoking on the quit date, which is the second session. Right, so I mix it up a little bit. And then I come back a week after that second session and discover that almost all the employees in almost every situation I've had have been successful. I was working as a team to help each other and to overcome this forever, just like the clients who come to see me in my office. But by understanding the research, I've been able to communicate more clearly to the referral resources. One of the other reasons why we should understand the hypnosis research is to set client expectations. Our clients are successful because they believe that when they experience hypnosis, the result that we promised is the result that we will have. There is an axiom in behavioral health, if you will, and that is that we always act on whatever we believe. So you believed that the chair you're sitting in would hold you up. Nobody came into this room and looked underneath to make sure there were screws, that there were nuts. No one looked at the weight rating of the chair. Everybody believed that the chair would hold them up. So all of you came into this classroom, you found a chair that you liked, and you sat down in it. We act on whatever we believe to be true. And if you believe, I'm going to see a hypnotist and I'm going to leave a non-smoker, I set the expectation for all of my clients that you will leave the first session a non-smoker. If they believe that, how will they act? They will act in accord with that belief. This is why my favorite hypnotic deepener is, catch this, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It's my favorite hypnotic deepener. I know that at a hypnosis convention, it does not impress other hypnotists. I am fully aware of that fact. But the reason why, if you come to see me in my office, after we get done with the induction, my deepener most likely is going to be some variation of a simple number count. And the reason why is we've been culturally conditioned to believe that when the hypnotist counts backwards, I will be hypnotized. This all started out, of course, with James Braden, doing scrotal tumor removal surgeries before anesthesia was invented in India. And so he wrote his induction, which is famous, James Braden's induction. I held the lancet before their eyes. They focused on the eyes. So fast forward 50, 60 years, Bela Lugosi is doing some research, of course, into hypnosis for Dracula. And he doesn't want to read the whole damn book by James Braden. He wants to learn just enough, and he learns that eye fixation works, so he got the pocket watch, right? Look at the pocket watch, left, right, left, right. Right. Sometimes Dracula forgot the pocket watch. Shit, I forgot the pocket watch. Look deep into my eyes, deep into my eyes. It's just still eye fixation. It's the same thing James Braden was doing. But apparently Bela Lugosi didn't read the whole book, so he never got to like the deepening chapter. So there he is in Hollywood. He's trying to make hypnosis Dracula movies look deep. Oh, well, I don't know what they do next. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So the reason Hollywood hypnotists count backwards is because of Bela Lugosi. Now, Sesame Street is so much better as an adult because you realize that every single Sesame Street skit is a parody of the adult world. There's no such thing as a Sesame Street skit that's not a parody of the adult world. And so The Count, right, is actually a parody of Bela Lugosi. That's who it is. It all makes sense now, right? And so part of our cultural experience growing up is, of course, The Count, Bela Lugosi films. And so all the rest of the Hollywood movies, they don't want to learn about hypnosis. They're like, well, what did Bela Lugosi do? What did Sesame Street do? Oh, they count backwards. So how many of you saw the movie Office Space? Only a couple of you? The rest of you need to go see the movie Office Space. Great movie. So the plot of the movie in summary is I can't remember his name. Jennifer Aniston, I remember she was in the movie, but I can't remember the guy's name. So he goes to see a hypnotist, and the hypnotist is doing the hypnosis session. Here's what happens in the movie, right? You're the guy. I think his name was Charlie in the movie, if I remember correctly, but I can't remember. Well, Charlie, I'm a hypnotist. I'm glad you're here to experience hypnosis. Fancy induction. Deepener. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The guy topples over dead. The hypnotist dies. The plot of the movie. I've ripped my pants. I've ripped the hose, or whatever this is called. Better not turn around, right? So the plot of the movie is he's stuck in hypnosis because 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the deepener happened. But then the hypnotist died. So the plot of the movie is he's never out of hypnotic trance. He's just going through the whole wide world as happy as can be because he's eternally, perpetually hypnotized. Great movie. Awesome movie. But again, every Hollywood movie, the hypnotist counts backwards. So here's what happens with my clients. My clients are in my office. They've heard hypnosis works, maybe even saw some of my literature. And they're sitting in the chair in my office, and I'm doing the induction. And they understand both with the conscious mind and the experiential mind, the subconscious mind, that they're going into hypnosis. But as soon as I start counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, all the way down now, deeper and deeper, 3, 2, what's happening in their conscious mind is this. This is actually what's happening. Holy shit. He's counting backwards. They really do this. It's not just Hollywood. This guy on Tropicana, he's actually counting back. He just said 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I say 0, they go deep into trance because it's what the hell is going on here? Oh my God. So the Fleetwood guy's always mad at me because I threatened to never let him record me. And this is why I keep tripping. How do you presenters not trip? But I've set the expectation I will trip on the cord in every workshop. And so I do in every single workshop whenever we're actually recording it. But the research helps me set client expectations. And when my clients expect that they'll experience healing and wellness, guess what they experience? Healing and wellness every single time. We should study the research, not only because it helps us to set client expectations, but it also shows us, the research does, what techniques actually work. On the ICBCH forum on Facebook, people are often saying, what technique should I do for this? What technique should I do for this? What technique should I do for that? Here's the great thing about those 12,000 peer-reviewed journal articles. They actually tell us what techniques were used. Wow, that's awesome. The research says not only did the outcome happen, people healed faster, recovered sooner, required less anesthesia, became less drug dependent, lowered their pain, decreased their anxiety, improved the quality of their life. But every one of those research articles actually tells you what methods were used, what actually was done. What that becomes for us is an encyclopedia of evidence-based techniques. Now, I'm a big fan of any and every technique in hypnosis. There's 7 billion people on the planet Earth. A one-size-fits-all approach can't really work for everybody, which is why I'm not a big fan of regress to cause. Not a big fan of regress to cause because it seems like many hypnotists learn that technique first and it becomes the only thing they do. I'm not anti-regression at all. I just think for many clients, we put the horse before the cart. Why did I smoke cigarettes is actually irrelevant to quitting smoking cigarettes. And I can go back after I stop and figure out why as a relapse prevention tool. But many people learn one technique, and this is the technique that they use for everybody. But the research actually tells us what the most effective techniques are. And the most effective techniques aren't actually the techniques that most of us do because of a tradition in our field. And I think that many times in hypnosis training, the technique of this person is passed down generationally in hypnosis training to successive students based on this is the technique that I learned, or this is the technique that this guru did. But the journals actually tell us what works. And it works this way in my office. Okay, if you make an appointment with me, if you call my office, 702-418-3332, to set an appointment, you will get Stephanie on the phone. Most of you know who Stephanie is. She's famous in the world of hypnosis because she organizes everybody's conference forum. Right? Stephanie, the HypnoThought Stephanie is actually Richard's Stephanie. Right? Willie Mitchell Stephanie is actually my Stephanie. Stephanie and I have known each other since we grew up here in Deerfield. We've known each other for 40 years. So when you call my office to set an appointment, you actually get Stephanie. Stephanie talks to you. Stephanie books the appointment. So let's say your appointment is next Thursday at 3 o'clock, and you come to see me. I have never talked to you before. I've never talked to you. I've never met you. I have an email from Stephanie, actually an Outlook calendar invite that says, Joe Schmo's coming at 3 o'clock on Thursday. So when you walk in the door, I've never met you before, I've never talked to you before, I don't know anything about you. My starting point, the first interventions that I'm going to be using are the interventions that the research shows are most effective for most people. And as we go on, I will begin to use a different set of techniques if those techniques don't work. It becomes an inverted pyramid of techniques. And there isn't anything I'll rule out. I'm not a big fan of aversion therapy. Aversion therapy in the research often shows to be highly ineffective. But every now and then somebody will say to me, if you do aversion therapy, I'll change my entire life. I had a client, 62 years old. She was my attorney's mother. I didn't want to see her. Smoking cessation. And she said, well, I'm here because Sonny Boy wants me to quit smoking, and I guess he's a friend of yours. And I'd like to quit smoking, but gosh, I really enjoy smoking, and so I'm kind of here to. She wasn't committed to it at all, and I was at that point. Not only was she not committed, she wasn't paying. Okay, he was paying for her. And I was at the point where I was almost ready to say, head out the door, come back when you're ready. That's when she said to me, I guess there's really only one way I could quit smoking. Really? What's that? She said, well, if I was so disgusted by it, if I thought that breathing in cigarette smoke was like sucking up the air from a monkey's ass. Excuse me? What did you just say? She said, well, I was just at the zoo with the grandkids, and those monkeys, their butts are just, oh my gosh, it's worse than when a stage hypnotist turns around and is, go ahead, close your eyes, take a little deep breath. You know that Gilford Gottfried joke, The Aristocrats, right? The dirtiest joke ever? I created an aversion therapy script out of that. I left the session and needed to take a shower. I felt so dirty. Okay? So I don't use aversion therapy techniques unless the client tells me that's the technique they're going to respond to. I'm not well known for being Mr. Regression, like I said before. It's often the cart before the horse. But if I have a client who comes in and says, hey, I've been studying, if I can figure out why I was smoking, and if you just regress me, I'll quit smoking, guess what I'm doing? I'm going to be consistent with what they want. But the research tells me what works. What works doesn't impress hypnotists at a hypnosis convention. But progressive muscle relaxation is awesome. And the research shows that. Herbert Benson, Harvard University, been studying the effects of therapeutic relaxation for the last 30 years. If you've never read the book, The Relaxation Response, you need to. If all we ever did with 95% of our clients was have them come in, sit in a chair, did a PMR induction, a 10-count deepener, gave them 3 direct suggestions and reoriented them, 95% of our clients would experience tremendous change in their life. The research shows that by taking control of the physical aspects of our experience, we reduce physical withdrawal from cigarettes, from drugs of abuse, from alcohol. We help our clients to take physical control of the experience of hunger for our weight loss clients, to control the anxiety, the sweaty palms for those who are afraid of public speaking and need to increase confidence. PMR doesn't impress hypnotists at a hypnosis conference, but the research shows it's freaking amazing. Autogenic training. Creating from within, taking control of our bodies by creating alternative resource states, a foundation of NLP that is never studied as NLP but is studied as autogenic training, fills the literature with techniques that are truly useful. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, and mindfulness-based stress reduction combined with cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, is an effective and an amazing tool. Hypnotists often say, but I can't do mindfulness-based or cognitive therapy because cognitive behavioral therapy, well, that's psychotherapy. I think many times these people are practicing hypnosis without hypnosis certification. I think it's the opposite. When I look at the current research on what really works, they're borrowing the techniques that predate any kind of licensure. And the social worker's nodding her head in agreement with me, and I have a license as a mental health practitioner. I'm licensed as a marriage and family therapist. And what I find, in fact, Albert Ellis's book, Rationally Motive Therapy, has an entire chapter devoted to countering cognitive errors in trance states. And we call countering cognitive errors direct suggestion. And the research shows it's highly effective. It's effective in dermatology. It's effective in burn treatment. It's effective in a wide variety of different conditions. The research shows us that techniques like acceptance and commitment therapy, which really aren't based on therapy at all, and are really based on the ancient ideas of meditation, change lives. Buddha did not know he was starting a religion. It's man that turned Buddha's words into a religion. Buddha really was the first psychologist, teaching the strategies that improved the quality of individuals' lives. And we go back to mindfulness-based stress reduction. John Kabat-Zinn's research shows that it's an incredibly powerful tool for changing the experience of pain. And as hypnotists, we know that by bringing our client to the present moment, we can affect the future moments as well. So my hope in the time that we've had together today has been to pass along some encouragement so that you understand hypnosis isn't a complementary and alternative therapy, but is, according to the research, a first-line intervention. That you've gotten the resources you need to actually continue your study into the evidence that hypnosis actually works, and that you leave here today with some of the ideas that can help you to pass this along to other people in a way that continues to change lives. Any questions, deep thoughts, profound insights? Ask me after 6, because I got to go talk with 2 other guys for the next 2 hours in another room.
Can you repeat your website, please?
Subliminalscience.com.
Thank you.
I don't know how to spell subliminal, but I own all the misspellings and they redirect.